Greetings, I'm Andrew Schaefer, Director of Music at Lutheran Memorial Church here in Madison, Wisconsin, here with your weekly edition of our devotional series, Hymns of Hope. And this week we're going to be looking at a classic Lutheran chorale, Now Thank We All Our God. And if you have a hymnal with you, if you have a green Lutheran Book of Worship, it can be found at number 533. If you have a red Evangelical Lutheran Worship at home, you can find it at 839. Or if you just have a random hymnal at home, chances are it's going to be in there, and you can look it up in the index right now and follow along and take a look at the text. This hymn is notable because it was written during one of the most horrific chapters in human history, and that is the 30 Years' War in Europe. Bruce Bengtson talked a little bit about the 30 Years' War when he presented the hymn, If You But Trust in God to Guide You. This is by a different author, Now Thank We All Our God, Martin Rinkart, who was obviously a German-born pastor. He actually was a boy chorister at St. Thomas in Leipzig, where Bach later would become cantor. He also attended the University of Leipzig. His first call was to his hometown of Eilenburg, Germany, which was actually a walled city and became overly crowded with refugee political and military figures throughout the 30 Years' War. So a very important town. Throughout the 30 Years' War, there were several waves of pestilence and famine that swept through the city. And various armies were marching through and leaving death and destruction behind in their wake. And as difficult as the coronavirus is for us to process, I think we can all appreciate how good we have it here, our relative safety and security. And of course, a pandemic did overtake the city in 1637. It's particularly severe on top of this war, if you can believe that. Rinkart opened his home to refugees, even though he really didn't have enough money to feed his own family. He was looking out for others in the community. During the plague of 1637, he was the only pastor left in the city. And at one point, there were reports that he was doing funerals for 40 to 50 people per day, which is just a horrific mental toll. But in the midst of all this, he found time to write many, many chorales that we sing today. And probably the most famous is Now Thank We All Our God. And when you look at the text of Now Thank We All Our God in the context of this unimaginable tragedy that he was experiencing on a day-to-day basis, it makes the hymn all the more incredible. What I really appreciate about the text of Now Thank We All Our God is the word we. It would have been very easy for Martin to pen the text talking about his own personal lament and how unfair the world was and his own relationship with God. But no, he instead chose the title, Now Thank We All Our God. And my favorite line from the hymn, who from our mother's arms has blessed us on our way with countless gifts of love, and still is ours today. I don't know about you, but during this coronavirus, it's so easy to get wrapped up in oneself or in your own immediate nuclear family. What is my son going to do? What is my wife going to do when she has to go back to work at the hospital? Are we going to have to quarantine? When can I go back to my 9-to-5 schedule? Do I have enough toilet paper in my house? I could go on and on and on. I'm sure these are all feelings that you all have had at one point in time. But this hymn always, in the midst of this hardship, helps us to realize that we are part of something larger. We are part of the Lutheran Memorial family, and we are here to look out for each other and in our various circumstances. We're part of a larger family, the state of Wisconsin, as we try to tackle this together and get our economy back together. Part of this nation, even though states are taking different approaches, and we're all in this together. And finally, as a global community, we can give thanks that in the midst of these trials that come, we have a God who is ever faithful in giving us countless gifts of love along our way. The setting I'm going to play is by Johann Sebastian Bach, sort of. This is from his cantata number 79, a very famous organ virtuoso of the 20th century, Virgil Fox, who worked at the Riverside Church, and I believe actually gave a concert on this, Austin, at one point in time back in the day. Took this cantata movement and made an organ arrangement out of it, and was often used in his programs as an encore. If you're wanting an authentic Bach performance, this is not the piece to listen to. It's been dolled up quite a bit with lots of dramatic flair. And it starts pretty simply, and as you'll hear, it just builds and builds and builds and builds to this wonderful climax. I think that particularly fits the hymn, Now Thank We Our God, well. So I hope you enjoy.